Hi, Olivia and Lucia. I'm Deborah Roth, and I'm on the early end of getting to know your parents. I worked with them for several months right before you were born, Lucia, just to help them be fabulous parents, even better than I knew they were already going to be. And I'm really delighted to do this for a whole bunch of reasons. One is that anything that has to do with little girls, I am totally there. Because I don't have them in my family. Well, now finally I do. I'll tell you about that in a minute. But I grew up with brothers, 3 brothers. I'm number 2. And my father always used to call me the rose among his thorns. Not in an exclusionary way. I found out my brothers never even heard that expression until I shared it with them after he died. So it was kind of our, as it turned out, our kind of private little sweet thing between daughter and father. And I have 2 sons, and up until 2 years ago had 5 nephews, and finally 2 years ago the first girls born in my family since me came along, my 2 nieces, and I'm officially the goddess mother of the older one, but kind of informally for both of them, and they're just delightful. So I'm just thrilled to be able to connect with you this way too. And I've been thinking since your dad and I were emailing about this, what kind of stories and thoughts I'd share with you. And this happened right as I was emailing your dad. This very strong memory, and a couple of them come up in my childhood about. And I suspect with the parents that you have that you may or may not respond this way, but I've always been really sensitive, you know, and when I was little that meant that I was a lot of fun to tease because, you know, what fun is it to tease somebody if they don't react? And little girls, unfortunately, and bigger girls too, even more unfortunately, can sometimes well, now they're called mean girls. I think when I was growing up it was just, you know, little girls can sometimes play head games, you know, they'll say, oh, let's make believe we're mad at so-and-so today, or oh, don't talk to her this week, you know, and that would happen to me, and I would just get destroyed to the point where if someone, you know, wanted to do that with someone else and asked me to be in on it, I'd say, nah, you know, that doesn't feel good. You know, I don't want to do that. And I'd think of something, you know, because you don't want people to tease you about being a wimp. But so I guess there's 2 thoughts there. One is to always thinking about how you would feel if girls played those kinds of games, kind of put yourself in those shoes. And the other is when you are in those shoes of being the one that you know, other girls are ganging up on or making believe they're mad at or whatever those games are. I remember so clearly being at a birthday, and I must have been about 10 years old, and it wasn't huge, and I had lots of friends. It wasn't that I was, you know, didn't have friends, and someone started playing that game, and for the first time, instead of just kind of getting quiet and, you know, kind of sinking in and feeling sorry for myself, I just plastered a smile on my face and just started laughing about it and said, oh, that's great. You know, I don't even remember what I said, but it was somehow, it was, instead of being a victim about it, I just kind of gave it back in this very light way, not in a mean way. It was, well, that, you know, that's kind of funny. I'm not mad at you, so, you know, if you got to do that, go ahead. And then I went and talked to somebody else. So there's something about, I guess, in that story of, and I don't know what it was at that point that made me do that. So for me, knowing, unfortunately, whatever it is, it's our makeup, and I love the, you know, the things that I do with little girls. I love the things that I do with women. I do so much work with women, and I joke with my brothers that, and with my sons who are now big enough to have these kinds of conversations with, that, you know, when little boys are mad at each other, they just sock each other and then they keep going. You know, there's kind of a physical response to it. Little girls can play these mind games And if you kind of get alert, and if you're a sensitive enough soul, you can figure out how to respond to them. And so it's that level of sensitivity that don't let anybody ever call you too sensitive or super, or highly and super sensitive, I think, are good, but overly sensitive or too sensitive, like it's a bad thing. So totally not a bad thing to live from your heart and to be empathic and to really care about other people's feelings and to be able to feel the same kind of, that shrinking in your stomach when someone wants to play a mean joke or play one of those games on someone else, so that you can say, no, I know that doesn't feel good, and I wouldn't want somebody to do that to me, so I'm not going to do it with you. And then when you're on the receiving end, to just kind of buck up and tap into the part of you that knows that that's not okay, and you're not going to be a victim about it. So I think that's my little pearl of wisdom for the moment.